कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदारंजन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी तीर वनचारी मुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare प्रणाम संकीर्तन की जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की. Welcome all of you. Today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 5. So have you come here for the first time? Okay. So we have every evening we have Bhagavad Gita lectures. So every day we discuss one verse. So right now, so we finished the whole of first chapter, and then today we are discussing the 5th verse of the 2nd chapter. So I will recite the verse. After that, then you can recite after me. Guruna hatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktyum bhakshamapi haloke Hatvarta kamanstu guruni heva Bhunjiya bhogan rudhira pradigdhan Guruna hatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktum bhakshamapi haloke Hatvarta kamamstu guruni heva Bhunjiya bhogan rudhira pradigdhan. Can you repeat it? Guruna hatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktum bhakshamapi haloke Hatvartakamanstu guruniheva Bhunjiya bhogan rudhira pradigdan. Can someone repeat? Someone else? Can you try? Can you try, bro? Can you try? No? Okay, I'll repeat one more time. Gurun ahatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktum bhakshamapi haloke Hatvartha kamamstu guruniheva Bhunjiya bhogan rudhira pradigdan. We'll read the word-to-word meanings. Gurun, the superiors. Ahatva, not killing. He, certainly. Mahanubhavan, great souls. Shreya, it is better. Bhoktum, to enjoy life. Bhakshyam, by begging. Api, even. Iha, in this life. Loke, in this world. Hatva, killing. Artha, gain. Kaman, desiring. Tu, but. Gurun, superiors. Iha, in this world. Eva, certainly. Bhunjiya, one has to enjoy. Bhogan, enjoyable things. Rudhira, blood. Pradigdhan, tainted with. Translation. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. According to scriptural codes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action and has lost his sense of discrimination is fit to be abandoned. Bhishma and Drona were obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because of his financial assistance, although they should not have accepted such a position simply on financial considerations. Under the circumstances, they have lost the respectability of teachers. But Arjuna thinks that nevertheless they remain his superiors, and therefore to enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with blood. You can repeat along with me. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desh Tarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll begin the class with the translation again. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. So, this is the fifth verse of the second chapter. So, to give a little bit of context, now everybody knows that Bhagavad Gita was spoken on the battlefield by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. And everyone knows that Arjuna was reluctant to fight, and that is why Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to inspire Arjuna. But if you go and read the Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter is entirely dedicated to the arguments that Arjuna actually gives to Lord Krishna as to why he doesn't want to fight. So he doesn't say that, he doesn't just feel weak and says that I don't want to fight. He actually gives a lot of reasons. And then he gives a total of 5 reasons. So we have covered those in our previous classes. For example, he says that ultimately, how can I fight with my superiors? As in, these are all my relatives. How can I kill my relatives? Because if I kill my relatives, I will get sin. Although I am a Kshatriya, I am supposed to be protecting the people, but still here the fight is with my relatives, and a Kshatriya should also be protecting his relatives. Then he gives another reason. He says that the kingdom is already flourishing, everything, just because of us so many people get killed. Because the Kurukshetra war that happened, that was almost like a world war. Like if you read the Mahabharata, all the kings over there in the world, everybody sided either with the Pandavas or with the Kauravas, and they had brought their entire armies over there. So it was definitely, and earlier wars would not be fought, that everybody's alive and then somehow they figure out a solution. No. Earlier, wars would mean you fight unto death. That was the Kshatriya code. That there is a face-to-face battle and everybody fights and you either die or you win. There is no third alternative here. So it was definitely for certain that a lot of people were going to get killed. So just for the Pandavas' sake, like should so many people be getting killed at all? So that was another argument of Arjuna. Then another argument that Arjuna gave was, see, what's going to happen is all the Kshatriya elders here are going to get killed. Like all the elders of all the families. And so if all the elder people get killed, who will ensure that the tradition that we have, the Vedic culture that is there, who will ensure that that gets carried on? Because when the Vedic tradition, when that is destroyed, then what happens is, the first thing that happens is, there is, so he gives the reason that the women would get polluted, like the unscrupulous people who are there in the society, they will take advantage of men not being there, and ultimately they will what should I say, they will take advantage of the women, and then ultimately Varn Sankara will born, like not proper children would not be born, that would cause further havoc in the society. So finally, that's how the first chapter concludes, and Arjuna says that I will not be able to fight. Now, second chapter is when Lord Krishna starts speaking. So Krishna has not spoken at all in the first chapter. Actually, he says one line, that is, I think, in the 33rd verse, I don't remember. But the main things that Krishna starts speaking is from the second chapter. And in second chapter begins with Krishna says to Arjuna, Arjuna, you have given all these arguments, that is okay. But why are you behaving like an impotent? He actually calls him impotent. That is like a gali that we give to someone, right? That how can you be such an important person? And if you especially say that to a Kshatriya, that is like, that's beyond their ego. They cannot handle it at all. And so Krishna actually puts the allegation on Arjuna. You are not fighting simply because you are scared of all these people. Now, Arjuna, we know he was a great warrior. So this was like even before the battle of Kurukshetra. If you read the Mahabharata, you will find that there were so many instances where Arjuna single-handedly fought with lot of people on the battle, and he won. So Arjuna was a Maharathi. And in the previous times, like right now, I think there are a lot of different titles that are given in the army, right? Let's say somebody who is able, like there is a general, there is a lieutenant commander, like that. Then there is something called a field marshal. I think that is given to only very highly decorated soldiers. So similarly, earlier there were like some ranks that were given, some titles that were given to the warriors. Now Arjuna was a Maharathi. So Maharathi means someone. Does anyone know what does Rath mean? Rath. Yeah, Rath is actually vehicle. So chariot. Okay. So earlier they would be like someone who's Ekrati means someone who can fight with a single chariot. Maharath, then they would be warriors who could at simultaneously they can fight with 100 chariots. As on the opposing side there are like thousands, hundreds of soldiers and hundreds of chariots on which other warriors are there. So Arjuna was a Maharathi. Maharathi means he could fight with like thousands and thousands of people on the opposing side. Like he single-handedly could fight. And Arjuna also fought with Lord Shiva also when Lord Shiva came to test him. Then there were so many instances where Arjuna fought, and so he was clearly, and even when they were young, when they were all in the ashram of Guru Dronacharya, that time the Kauravas and Pandavas would, they would keep fighting with each other. There would be competitions, and Arjuna would win in all of those. He was the best archer of his time. So here, he was not at all afraid of fighting. Kshatriyas are never afraid of fighting, because if a Kshatriya is afraid of fighting, then that's like the biggest dishonor that is there for Kshatriya. So they were raised like that. Even like from their very young age, they would be, they would be told that you are a Kshatriya, you cannot turn your back on an enemy. If there is ever a challenge in front of you, you should fight. So in this case, why was Arjuna not fighting? So when Krishna says, so you are an impotent, you are just simply scared of your enemy. So that was like a very, very harsh criticism of Arjuna. And Krishna says that, just get up and fight. So that's when Arjuna tells 4 shlokas. So from 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So 4th we did last Friday. 5th is what we are doing today. So in 4th, 5th and 6th shloka, Arjuna comes back with an argument. He says to Krishna, okay, you are saying that I am simply scared. I am not scared. I can fight. But how? But whom do I fight? Why don't you see who is on the opposing side? These are my gurus. They are my respectable teachers. Like how can I fight with my respectable teachers? And in fact, in the previous verse, in the 4th verse, Arjuna calls Krishna as Madhusudana. Now, Krishna has a lot of names. Can someone tell me some of Krishna's names? Like anyone that you might have? Murari, very good. Okay. Kana, yes, very good. Then someone said Mukunda, right? Mukunda, okay. Any other? Giridhari. So now do you know that all of these names have some meanings? Like, so Lord has so many names. Each of those names actually denotes some particular activity of God. For example, Giridhari. Do you know what is the activity because of which Lord has that name, Giridhari? Yeah. Yes. Thank you. So you all must have heard of the pastime of Govardhan Hill, right? So that is when all the Brajvasis were doing Indra Puja, and Krishna said, "Why are you doing Indra Puja? Ultimately, all our necessities are given by Govardhan Hill. So we should be worshipping Govardhan Hill." So all the Brajvasis, they started worshipping Govardhan Hill. And that is when Indra got very angry, and he said, "Who is this small boy?" Krishna was just simply, telling he has stopped Indra Yagya. So he sent the Samvartaka cloud, and Samvartaka cloud is generally sent when there is supposed to be like full devastation in the universe, when there is supposed to be so much rain that everything will get destroyed. So he sent those clouds in Vrindavan, and then it started raining heavily, and that is when everybody went and rushed to Krishna saying, "Krishna, please save us." So Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill. That is how he got the name Giridhari. Then someone told Mukunda, right? Why is Lord called Mukunda? Okay, Mukunda, you have heard of the term Mukti? What does Mukti mean? Okay, yeah, liberation, yes. So ultimately, the aim of life is, we are all in this material world, and then there is also a spiritual world. And in this material world, we are spirit souls who are in this body right now. So ultimately, when the soul, when we die, what happens? The soul gets reborn in another body. Now, liberation is when the soul gets mukti from this world. And then after that, then there are many kinds of liberation. Like there is an impersonal liberation that some people say that soul just goes and gets merged into God. So there are 5 kinds of mukti. And then, but the proper liberation is getting released from this world, from this cycle of birth and death, and going and living with Krishna in the spiritual world. Living with Krishna in the spiritual world, or Lord Vishnu in the Vaikuntha worlds and all that. So Krishna and Vishnu are the same. So Now, who can give liberation? Only Krishna, only the Supreme God can give liberation. Like nobody else can give liberation. I cannot give liberation. You cannot give liberation to anyone else. Only Krishna can grant liberation. So he is called Mukunda. So like this, Krishna has got many names. Each of those names has a particular meaning. Now in Bhagavad Gita, there is so much of meaning packed into just one verse. Like even when somebody is calling someone something, right? There is a reason behind it. So now, as I told you in the beginning of the second chapter, Krishna says, he says to Arjuna that, I forgot what he calls him, I think he calls him a great warrior, and then he says, how can you be such an important person? So he's like kind of an, we say, right, ताना मारना किसी को कि आप इतने बड़े इंसान हो फिर आप ऐसा कैसे कर रहे हो? So similarly, he calls Arjuna by that name. Then Arjuna says to Krishna, O Madhusudana, O Arisudana. So Madhusudan means who's the killer of the demon Madhu. So Krishna killed the demon Madhu. That is how Krishna got the name Madhusudan. And Arisudana means, Ari means enemies. So Arisudana means someone who's killer of enemies. So Arjuna says to Krishna, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu. Now what is Arjuna trying to tell Krishna? He's saying that, see Krishna, you are celebrated as a great Kshatriya, you are celebrated as a great warrior, but you are celebrated as killer of your enemies. Here, are these people my enemies? No, they are my respectable teachers, they are my gurus. So how can I kill them? So he's asking Krishna, what if your guru Sandipani Muni came in front of you and you had to kill him? Would you have agreed to kill him? So that is what this is the previous verse, fourth verse. Fifth verse is when Arjuna says that it would be better to live in this world by begging. Now again, this is a very interesting concept. Now Kshatriyas, earlier time, there were 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. Like so Vedic religion, the proper term that we call is Sanatan Dharma or Varnashram Dharma. Can anyone tell me what are the 4 varnas and the 4 ashramas? Okay, I'll start. Maybe then you will be able to tell. So Varna is your position in society. It is your yes. Can you tell all the 4? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya. Yes, thank you. So these are the 4 varnas and the 4 ashramas. Ashrama is your in life. What position you are in life? In the sense like there is brahmachari in the beginning, 25 years. Then does anyone know those 4? Okay, brahmachari. Then so brahmachari is till the age of 25. Then from 25 to 50, what is there? Grihastha. Yes, the right term is Grihastha ashram. Then after that, Vanaprastha. Yes, I think we all studied this in our NCERT books, right? Okay. Then finally, after that, Sannyas ashram. Yeah. So in Vedic times, what used to happen was everybody would they would begin their lives in the brahmachari ashram, in the sense that when you are young, you are sent to the gurukul of your teacher. So there you are a brahmachari. Then after that, then you will come out and then you will get married. So that is your grihastha. So you don't stay on as grihastha till the end of your life, which is what happens now. So ultimately all the religions, right, especially Vedic culture, is all about how you can realize God, how you can actually realize your relationship with God. So what people used to do was, after 50, they would retire from family life. That is when kids would be grown up. Nowadays people have kids when they are in 40, so they can't retire at 50 also. So kids would be grown up, and then so the husband and the wife, they would leave and they would go to the forest in search of God. Then finally you live as a vanaprastha for some time. Then after that, people would take sannyas. So sannyas is complete renunciation. That is when you completely depend on God, even for your food, everything. You just depend on God completely. So these are the 4 ashramas, and the 4 varnas are one is, okay, we just learned about the 4 varnas. What are they? Can someone again tell me? Brahman, yes, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So Brahman Varna is a section of people who guide the society, who tell the society. They are learned in the scriptures, they know all the Vedas properly, they know Bhagavad Gita properly, they know Bhagavatam, they know all the Vedic scriptures. So they guide the society, especially they guide the Kshatriyas, Who are the Kshatriyas? Kshatriyas are the rulers. They're the administrators. Then the Vaishyas are, Vaishyas, does anyone know? What do Vaishyas do? Okay, I think you should all read Bhagavad Gita. This comes in the later chapters. So Krishna himself tells what are the duties of a Brahmana, what are the duties of a Kshatriya. See, right now in Kali Yuga, right, nothing is getting followed. People are Brahmana only for namesake. People are Kshatriya, Vaishya only for namesake. And people are fighting that, that they're fighting that, this section of people, Brahmanas have, Kshatriyas have, ruled over these section of people whom have been called like SC/ST now. And then they are saying, and then Brahmanas are proud, we are Brahmanas, we should get more respect. But are they doing the duty of a Brahmana? So Brahmana's duty is, Brahmana should be learned in the scriptures. Brahmana should teach the scriptures to others. Brahmana never does a job. So if you know anyone who's a Brahmana, who's proud that he's a Brahmana, and if he's doing a job, then he's not a real Brahmana, because Brahmanas don't do job. Kshatriyas and Brahmanas don't do job. Vaishyas are the ones, Shudras are actually the ones who do job. This is how it used to be in the Vedic culture. Kshatriyas are military people. Kshatriyas are administrators. So they will protect the people. They will rule over the society, and then they will impose taxes. This was the duty of a Kshatriya. Then duty of a Vaishya is, they are actually the business people, and they produce things. They are traders. They protect cows. So this comes in Bhagavad Gita. Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijya. So this Vanijya means trading. Then Krishi means farming, and cow protection. So this is what Vaishyas do. And then Shudras. Shudras are ones who are supposed to help all these other people. Now gradually what happened is, so all this was like 5,000 years back when Vedic culture was properly being followed. So gradually as Kali Yuga came, everything started deteriorating. People stopped following these things, their duties, but they kept demanding their rights. So now, there is this concept of rights and duties, right? Even in constitution, if you have read, there is fundamental rights, correct? And there is fundamental duties. But fundamental duties, interestingly, is not imposable on everyone. Fundamental duties are only there as a guideline. Fundamental rights, if somebody takes away your right, then you can go to court and say, he's taking my right. But if you're not doing your duty, then you're not liable. That nobody will say why you're not doing your duty. So this is how things have degraded. Everybody demands rights. This is my right. I should be treated equally. But nobody actually demands duties. That this is my duty. I want to do this duty properly. So earlier there was more focus on duty. If you think about it, if everybody is doing their duty properly, then the problem of rights will not come. Another very important thing is this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Is it by birth or is it by one's qualities? What do you think? Okay. But today, is it by birth or is it by quality? Yeah. So it has become like by birth. But earlier it used to be by quality. So, of course, somebody who is born in a Brahmin family would grow up to be a Brahmana. But if somebody does not exhibit the qualities of a Brahmana, then he would not be called a Brahmana. If you read the scriptures, there is a term called Brahma Bandhu. So Brahma Bandhu means someone who's friend of a Brahmana, family of a Brahmana, but who's not actually qualified as a Brahmana. Similarly for Kshatriya, Vaishya, you all might have seen, right? There is a sacred thread ceremony that Brahmanas, many places Kshatriyas also wear a sacred thread. What is that sacred thread? Ultimately, in earlier times, what used to happen was, they used to say, like everyone has two births. One birth is given by mother and father. Other birth is given by the Vedas and the spiritual master. So that birth is, to signify that birth, a thread used to be given. That is called a sacred thread. So those who had qualified themselves and had shown their qualities as a Brahmana, only they would be given the sacred thread, and they would be called twice born Brahmanas. Now it is just a ritual that is being followed. That happens at the age of Upanayan Samskar, 6 years, 10 years, like that. But it was not like that in the olden times, long back. Now, why we were discussing all this was, so each of them have some certain qualities. Like Brahmana's qualities would be, can someone guess what could be the qualities of a Brahmana? Yes, to teach, but qualities are like, Brahmanas are very tolerant. Brahmanas are very peaceful. they're very sharp, they're intelligent, but qualities are like they're very tolerant, they're very peaceful. Kshatriyas, on the other hand, Kshatriyas have the quality, their nature is like they're very challenging in nature. In the sense, they are like if somebody challenges them, then they will not back off. If somebody challenges them to a fight, they will not feel afraid. They have that spirit of fighting. Like even today, if you see everyone, all of us, even though we are not following any of this properly, some people you would see have this. If you just challenge them, they'll feel very enlivened by that. Like and if you challenge someone, some other person, he would feel very afraid. So that other person who's feeling afraid doesn't have the Kshatriya spirit. But someone who's feeling very enlivened by being challenged for a fight, he's a Kshatriya. He has that Kshatriya spirit actually. So Kshatriyas had other qualities also. But yeah, one thing that Kshatriyas would never do is they would never beg. They would die, but they would never beg because they were supposed to be rulers. So here Arjuna, he's saying it would be better to live in this world by begging. So this means it's a very, very big statement he's making, right? Like let's say all of us have some things that we never want to do. Like each of us have some things that we are afraid of, and we think we'll never do this in our whole life. For example, somebody goes and asks us to beg. Maybe some people might not feel very afraid of begging. Let's say each of us would have our own personal fears. But if some situation comes in our life where we say I'm ready to go do that also, but I'll not do this. So something similar is happening here. Arjuna is saying I'm ready to beg, but I don't want to live at the cost of lives of great souls who are my teachers, even though desiring worldly gain. So he's talking here especially about two great souls who are on the opposite side. Can someone name those two souls? Whom he's talking about, who are his gurus? Yeah. So nice. So Bhishma Pitama and Dronacharya. Then he says, even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. So why he is saying even though they are desiring worldly gains? Like why were they desiring worldly gains, Dronacharya and Bhishma Pitama?
They are the teachers.
No, but here why is he saying even though desiring worldly gain? Like Arjuna is also putting an allegation that they are desiring worldly gain. So whose side were they on? Bhishma Pitama and they were on Duryodhana's side. Was Duryodhana correct? No, he was whatever he was doing, he was forcibly trying to take away what actually belonged to the Pandavas. Not only that, Bhishma Pitama and Duryodhana, especially when the Draupadi Chirharan happened, that time, they could have easily stopped it from happening. But they didn't say a single word. So that was, they didn't perform their duty at that time. Why? Because they thought that they are obliged to the Kuru dynasty. They are obliged to Duryodhana. Duryodhana is the one who's maintaining them. So that's why they were supporting Duryodhana throughout. And Dronacharya, especially Dronacharya, in case of Dronacharya, his son was also very affectionate towards Duryodhana. And Dronacharya was very affectionate towards his son. So Dronacharya, that way in two ways, he felt very much obliged to Duryodhana. Now Arjuna says, even though desiring worldly gain, they are still superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Now, so whatever we have discussed so far, like these are the broad themes. One thing is, first we discussed what was Arjuna's comeback to Krishna's rebuke of emotional weakness. Like Krishna is chastising Arjuna, you are emotionally weak, you can't fight. But Arjuna gives a proper comeback. He gives a reasoning. These are superiors. It's not about I'm feeling emotionally weak. I can't fight against my superiors. Now look at another important thing. Elders should always be respected. Vedic civilization was such that elders, even if they are committing a mistake, they would always be respected. Now compare this with the state we are in today, modern civilization. Do you think elders are given the respect they should be given? Like just see anywhere, like even on the road, if some elder person is walking by, people would just honk. Like some sensible people are also there, they will wait till they cross, but people, they're in such a hurry, they'll just honk. People don't respect their parents so much. People don't respect their elder brothers, elder sisters. What to talk about, some random stranger. And now, even if you see in school or colleges, right? Like even, I think when I was in college, we also used to do this. We used to make fun of professors. This professor is like that. We would mimic the professors. So all this is there. This is okay. This has become a part of civilization. what I'm trying to say is that, how much things have degraded. Earlier, like even someone who's committing a big fault, people would be tolerant and still give them the respect. But that's not the case anymore. Now, the third important theme that we'll discuss today, and then we'll end after this, is when is a guru or a teacher fit to be abandoned? So generally it is said that once you accept a guru, you should never abandon the guru. Like, you should always, if somebody accepts a guru and then, disrespects the guru and goes away, then that's a big sin that he commits. That's a very big mistake that he's committing. That is something that even Lord does not like, because Lord also says, even in Bhagavad Gita, you'll find it in the 4th chapter, 34th verse, when Arjuna asks a lot of questions. Then Krishna says, just go to a self-realized guru and ask him. He will answer all your questions. We cannot approach Krishna directly. That is why, before we began the lecture, we read Mangalacharan. I'll show it again. This Mangalacharan. Mangalacharan starts with Om Agyan Timirandasya. Does anyone know the meaning of this? No? I'll tell the meaning. This particular verse, this you will find in many Upanishads, many scriptures. This says Om Agyan Timirandasya. This says Om Agyan Timirandasya. I was born in darkness of ignorance. Jnananjana Shalakaya. Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah. Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur. What does Chakshu mean? Chakshu means eyes in Sanskrit. Chakshurun Militam Yena. Yena means one who. So this line, second and third line, means one who has opened my eyes by the torchlight of knowledge. Who's that? He's the Guru. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. I'm paying my obeisances to that Guru. That's why you'll find all the lectures, anything that we do, we first pay our obeisances to Guru and Guru Parampara. Whenever there is Guru, there is always Guru Parampara. Like, can somebody just say I am Guru? No. A Guru has to be a disciple of another Guru. Who is disciple of another Guru? And then the chain goes all the way till Krishna. So Krishna had a disciple, Krishna or God, so there are so many other sampradayas that are there, that are coming from Krishna. So there are 4 sampradayas. And so there is Brahma Sampradaya, there is Sri Sampradaya. If you go to, any of you have gone to Tirupati? Yeah, so Tirupati is maintained by the Sri Sampradaya. In South India and Tamil Nadu, you will find Sri Sampradaya. So like this, there are 4 Sampradayas. One is coming from the 4 Kumaras, one is coming from Lord Brahma. So initially, when the creation happened, when the universe came, so Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma came from Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan, gave the instructions to Lord Brahma, like how he gave all the Vedic knowledge, and from Lord Brahma he gave it to Narad Muni. From Narad Muni, like that, the parampara is coming down, and that is the entire parampara. Even if you see in the altar, you will find the bottom row, right? You can see in the bottom row, you will find a lot of photos are there. So that is the Guru Parampara that is coming down. So Srila Prabhupada is there, his Guru, then his Guru, like that. So that is why we always begin, whatever we do, we always worship the Guru first. Because it is because of the grace of Guru that we get anything. Yeah, so Guru is very important. But Vedas also talk about cases where the Guru, if the Guru deviates, then the Guru is fit to be abandoned. If the Guru is not following scriptures, if the Guru is not understanding the essence of scriptures and then he is doing something which is wrong, then he should be abandoned. And what is the essence of scriptures? Essence of scriptures is to understand Krishna, is to understand Vishnu, is to know that Vishnu, that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if any Guru says anything which is contrary to that, or let's say if Guru is behaving in some sinful behavior, then Guru can be abandoned. I'll tell a story here. So does anyone know the story of Bali Maharaj? Bali Maharaj? Yes. Newcomers? Someone who knows? Yes, I know you know, Guru. Daitya Bali, have ever heard of him? Okay, have you ever heard of Hiranyakashipu? Hiranyakashipu Narsimhadev, right? So Hiranyakashipu's grandson was Bali Maharaj. And do you know, have you heard of Vaman Dev? Vaman Dev, yes. Avatar, yeah. So in the Dash Avatar, Vaman Dev is counted, right? So Bali Maharaj story happened when Vaman Dev came. So there was a Bali Maharaj was a Daitya. He was in the demon family, but he was a great devotee of the Lord. Now what happened was there was a fight between the demons and the demigods. So that always keeps happening. Between demigods and demons, there is fight. So this time what happened was the demons won. And all the demigods, they were like taken captive. They lost their kingdom. They lost all their opulence. So that time they played. They what do demigods do whenever they are in trouble? They always run to Lord Vishnu and pray. So that is what we should also do. When we are in trouble, we should pray to Lord Vishnu, to Lord Krishna. So they prayed, and Lord Vishnu said that I will come. So he came in the avatar of Vamandev. Vamandev was a dwarf Brahmana, very beautiful Brahmana. So Vamandev went to Bali Maharaj, who was the king that time, and he went and asked for charity. So Bali Maharaj said, okay, he was a very charitable person, and earlier times kings used to be very charitable. Any Brahmana who comes, they would give whatever they ask for, they would give that in charity. So he said, okay, you want charity? Ask for anything. I am the king of the whole universe. I can give anything to you. So Vaman Dev, he says that I don't want the whole universe. He said like that. He said that ultimately, we should all be satisfied with whatever we have. If we are not satisfied with what we have, then we will never be satisfied with anything. So this, you'll find in your own life also. I've also found in my life. If you're always aspiring for more and more and more and more, there is never a limit to that. You might think I want 10% increment, you get 10% increment. Next year you feel, sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah, so next year you feel sad with that 10% increment because your friend got 20% increment. So you're like, I also wanted 20%. And then after a few years, you'll feel like my salary has again become less. I want even more. So it never stops. We always want more and more and more. So Vaman Dev says, one should be satisfied with whatever little that destiny provides him. So Vaman Dev says, I'll ask you a very simple, very small gift. I just give me 3 paces of land. That means I'll just take 3 steps. How much ever my 3 steps cover, you give me that. So Bali, actually, first he asks this, then Bali Maharaj says, I'm the king of the universe. Why are you asking such a small gift? Like, let's say if you have, if you're feeling very happy and if you have a lot of money, let's say 1,000 rupees, and then you go to your relatives and say, I have 1,000 rupees, chalo chal ke party karenge, jahan khana hai, wahan khilaunga aaj. And then your brother or small sister, they say, no, just buy me one small toffee. And then you would like, I have 1,000 rupees. Small toffee is just 1 rupee. Why ask something more? So Bali Maharaj says, ask something more. That is when Vaman Dev says that, if I always ask for more and more, people will I'll never be satisfied. So I just want this much. So this is when Shukracharya was the teacher, the guru of Bali Maharaj. Shukracharya said, don't give it to him. He is Vishnu who has come in disguise. What he will do is, with this one step, he'll cover this whole of earthly planet. With this another step, he'll cover the entire heavenly planets. And then he will say, where do I keep my 3rd step? And then he'll ask for your life. So don't give it to him. So then Bali Maharaj, that is when, so we should listen to our guru, right? But in this case, Bali Maharaj didn't listen to his guru. He rejected his guru. Why? Because Bali Maharaj knew, ultimately, what is the purpose of having a guru? What is the purpose of the scriptures? What is the purpose of our existence? That is to understand God. That is to become devotees of God. That is to, be in a loving relationship with God. And Bali Maharaj and Shukracharya was advising him against that don't do this. That is when he rejected Shukracharya. And then Bali Maharaj said, no, okay, I give it to you. You take 3 steps. And that is what Vaman Dev did. With this one step, he covered the whole of this lower region of the universe. With this second step, he covered the whole of the heavenly planets. And then he said, where do I keep my 3rd step now? So you are a cheater, you lied to me, you will give me. But there is, with my 2 steps only I have covered the whole universe, there is nothing more in your possession. So that is when Bali Maharaj says that you please, I surrender myself to you, you keep your 3rd step on me. I am the one, I am giving myself to you. So that is when, Vaman Dev, after that then Bali Maharaj then Vaman Dev gives to Bali Maharaj, from this, I'll just take a detour. From this story, we might think that Vishnu, he'll come and he'll ask us something, and then he'll, we'll be loser because he'll take everything away from us. That is not the case. Many people, in fact, actually say that Hari, what does Hari mean? Like Lord, we say no, not the rushing wala Hari. Hari means Hari Bol, like that Hari, Hari, Lord, name of Lord. What does Hari mean? हरी मीन्स जो हर लेता है, ठीक है. तो मेनी पीपल से लॉर्ड इज कॉल्ड हरी बिकॉज वो आपसे सब हर लेंगे, आपका सारा धन संपत्ति, एवरी वॉट एवर यू हैव, देल जस्ट ही विल टेक एवरीथिंग अवे फ्रॉम यू. But no, Lord is someone, if he's taking something from you, he'll give you much, much, much more in return. You can't even imagine. If we give even small thing to Krishna, Krishna will be so happy with us that he'll give us so much in return, we can't even imagine. So from this story, we might think, from the story of Bali Maharaj, that Bali Maharaj was the loser. But no. In this case, what happened? Vaman Dev actually gave him the Sutala planet. So there are many, many planetary regions in this planetary systems in this universe. There are 14 planetary systems. We are on the earthly planet. So similarly, you might have heard Patal, like that name Patal, right? So Patal is also one of the lower planetary systems. So similarly, there is a planet called Sutala, planetary system called Sutala, which is much more opulent than Earth. So Bali Maharaj, he made Bali as the king of Sutala, and Bali is still ruling there. And then he awarded the position of Indra to Bali. So Bali Maharaj will become Indra in the next yuga, whenever the next Manvantara happens. So that is a deep topic. We'll go into that some other time. So that is, yes. So ultimately, Bali Maharaj got pure devotion to the Lord, which is the most biggest gift, and he also got so much of opulence. So anybody who gives even small little thing to Krishna, he is never the loser. So we will end with this. We're almost on over time. So to summarize what all we discussed today, the verse was, this is the 5th verse of the 2nd chapter, where 2nd chapter begins with Krishna chastising Arjuna. Why are you giving all these reasons? You are emotionally weak, you should fight. Arjuna says to Krishna, no, I am not emotionally weak. There are teachers in front of me. How can I kill my teachers? Ultimately, after 2 verses, Arjuna will say, I am thoroughly confused, I don't know what my duty is, I am surrendering unto you. So he will stop his arguments, and then in 7th verse, he'll just surrender to Krishna. And then 2-3 verses after that, Krishna will then start the proper instructions of the Gita. That is from the 11th verse onwards, where the proper Gita starts. So this is still a prelude to how things are building up for the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. So we discussed that he says that teachers should never be killed. And then we discuss when can teachers be abandoned, when they are not following the scriptures, when they are deviating away from the essence of the scriptures, which is to know Krishna, to understand Krishna, to love Krishna. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Any comments? Any particular thing that you liked or didn't like? Alright, okay. We will end it. Yes.
You actually told us what Shukracharya was trying to stop Bali Maharaj, but Bali Maharaj did not stop it. He was focusing what have his goal towards that. So I really very nice.
Okay. Thank you. So whatever I told today, this I've heard from my own teachers, I've heard from other lectures. So keep coming here. You will hear a lot of other nice lectures. Daily there are evening Bhagavad Gita lectures. Every Sunday we have morning. We read from Srimad Bhagavatam. There are classes given. Every Sunday evening there is a Gita. There is a separate proper structured Gita course that happens. That tells how we can apply Gita and Bhagavad Gita in our life. So we'll end here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.